Raheem Mostert made the most of his NFL career. 11 years, 6 teams, some of the best coaches. A couple years ago with Miami, you could not get him out of the end zone. And he is now joining us live. So my first take is, do you still want to play? Because you have been so productive. When I think of you, I think of end zone. I think of a guy that figures out a way. You've got good hands. You're a bully down there. Would you play if offered a gig?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would definitely play.
Okay.
And first and foremost, this is like an honor just being on this show with you. I think of the world of you, man. You're definitely one of those guys up at the top that's doing unbelievable things.
Oh,
so
thanks.
thank you for having me, man. This means a lot. But yeah, no, I definitely want to keep playing. Why not? I feel good, feel great. Didn't take as much beating last season, so want to continue to keep playing.
So I want to ask you about Mike McDaniel, because I've said before, I don't know if he's a great head coach, but I know he's a good football coach. And for you, he figured out very quickly, and I respect Mike for this. He's like, I got to feed this guy.
Yeah.
And so you were vital in this offense. As a head coach, what went right with Mike McDaniel and what maybe didn't go right? What was your relationship with him?
Yeah, we had a good relationship going into the Dolphins organization, but obviously things kind of flustered and went their own ways. But at the beginning of everything, there's always a good story and good telling. We did everything that we possibly could to maximize the opportunities that were given to us. And then he's a great coach. He listens to if guys are talking to you, he'll listen and give them some advice. But head coach wise, obviously, the past couple of years, what they've been going through has just been kind of rough, and I kind of feel bad for the players, just because when you have a coach that is so player friendly, it doesn't really mix all that well. Look at the coaching history, not in just in the NFL, but MLB, NBA, all these sports franchises, they have coaches that implement toughness, resilience,
Yes.
and that's something that he kind of missed the mark on in being a head coach.
No, I think you nailed it. In fact, you were the tough quotient for him. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting, Raheem, that you mentioned that, because Mike, when he got hired, my take, and I said this on the air, I said, I know he's smart.
Yeah.
And I know he knows offense. I said, but there is something about Mike Tomlin or Mike Vrabel or Mike McDonald, that there's a physical stature, there's sort of a tough guy thing. And I said, I look at Mike McDaniel as more like super smart, little nerdy, whatever, but you felt it as well, that there was a lack of toughness in the Dolphins. You felt that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and on top of that, to go to your point, when you're talking about with guys like, Mike Tomlin, Vrabel, some of these, even look at Belichick, it was no nonsense BS. We get in here, we're getting the job done, and it's my way or the highway. It's pure, this is how we're going to coach it. I'm essentially the ruler. I'm the one that's, making these gains and also the failures. I have to accept that. But, when you're dealing with a coach that's so nonchalant, laid back, wants to be, the catalyst behind being a player's coach, it kind of shifts that organization and the pivot, within that system. So, yeah. Which it can work for other smaller league teams possibly, but when you're dealing with something like that, is as a player you're like, no, I need somebody tough that's gonna lay the hammer down when it needs to be down and tell other players to get in line, and when you don't got that impact can definitely be detrimental.
Okay, let's talk Kyle Shanahan, who's always been, that's the first time I really, a lot of people saw you, were like, oh, who is this guy? Mm-hmm. And again, you were a tough physical back. Shanahan is known as a running back's friend. Mm-hmm. Did you know immediately with the Niners, like, oh, this is going to work?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember specifically, I don't want to go into too many crazy details. I sat in a meeting room after one game. I put the ball on the ground, and he grabbed me and he said, "Hey, look, come to my office. Let me talk to you." And at that moment, he was just asking me, "Hey, look, like, what's going on?" And I told him, "Hey, coach, you expect a lot out of me, but in practice, I don't get these looks. In practice, I'm not, getting that quality of work. And then you expect me to go into the game and do my job to the fullest. Now, yes, I'm a professional athlete. I should be able to do those things when I'm not getting those looks in practice. But, I think that we need to change it up. I need to get more touches. That's how I roll. Like, I'm more of like the physical, let's get this thing rolling. And then come into the game on Sunday, then now you can see what I could really do. And he looked at me and he was like, "You know what? You're right. I haven't seen you touch the ball all that much in practice. We're going to give you some more opportunities." And that's the type of coach that you want, a guy that's going to tell you exactly what's going to happen and he's going to get it done. And that very same day, he threw me right on in and I got about 10 touches and everything was the rest was history.
So you were there 4 or 5 years, actually. And one of the criticisms on Shanahan, and there aren't many, is, man, he can really wear out a running back. McCaffrey's got 300 or 400 touches, but it sounds like you you're like Nolan Ryan. You were better the later the innings went. You liked the Verlander pitcher. You liked more touches. You liked the physicality of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when he runs his offense, it's a running back by committee, but when you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey and he does exactly what he needs to do within the offense, and Kyle loves the fact that he could put him out, split him out, give him even more touches because he knows what he's going to get out of that guy, each and every touch. That's specific to that style offense, and that's what Kyle's been able to do all these years, even with his dad. Him watching his dad, Mike Shanahan, out in Denver and even in Washington, they both understand the running back position and what needs to happen in order for you to get the most out of those backs.
So Ashton Jeanty, you had a little spell with Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State kid. I see about one Boise State game a year. I watched, I think it was against Oregon. He's really clever. He kind of could hide in the backfield because he reminded me of a guy years ago that played at Oregon State named Rogers. Was it Jaquez Rogers? It was a young
Rogers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I thought he was more explosive, but that he was smaller and shifty, and he'd come flying out of the backfield, and you couldn't see him behind the big offensive line. So what did you make of Jeanty?
First impression, this dude is made of the right stuff. Obviously, he's a rookie and being a first rounder, you have a stature about you, right? You have a requirement, and man, he exceeded that. He exceeded his professionalism and his growth, and me even trying to implement, my take and everything that I bring to the game, and my knowledge behind the game. He just absorbed it like a sponge and was really, really focused, dialed in, and listened.
Yeah,
he's really a difference maker on that team, and I got nothing but love for him. He's forever a brother of mine, and he's going to continue to do great things. And I'm excited about I'm excited where he goes, man, in regards to his career, because he's an exception to the rule. Let's just say that he's way better than people think. Obviously, last year, he missed out on 1,000 yards. You could see, he was only 25 yards shy. And I tell you what, man, if he can get that 25 yards, he would do it in a heartbeat, and no matter who's in front of him blocking for him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert, for our radio audience listening, we're on TV as well, FS1. So, Raheem, when you played for the Niners, winning culture, good ownership, great coach. Then you played with the Raiders, and then you played with the Dolphins. For our audience, is there a difference, winning team, winning culture to losing culture? Is it the little things? Or is it just like, because I look at the Niners, and it's like they got to a Super Bowl with Garoppolo. Brock Purdy wins. Like, it's not you have to have Patrick Mahomes in San Francisco. Like, you tell me the difference between, the winning cultures you played with and the ones that struggled. Is there something specific?
Honestly, it's the details, and the decisions. I think that's the biggest thing that, when you're looking at these teams that are winning. I mean, think about this. In the past 3 years, would you ever put together a team like Seattle to win the Super Bowl? You know,
yeah, most people said, but they draft so well.
They draft well, and they know how to get their guys in the building, and the head coach knows how to get the guys to go. You know, it's all about those details, and you know, that's some of the things that winning teams they figure out, losing teams they can't really figure it out. And so when you're dealing with a team like, you know, the 49ers, they could figure it out. They could really figure it out, take it to the next pinnacle, get up to that championship mindset, and ultimately the game. But they can't figure out that last, you know, drive that really can count for them in order to win the Super Bowl. And then also with the Dolphins, you know, my time there, you know, we had one of the best offenses, you know, to ever be displayed that 2023 season. And, you know, when it boiled down to those critical games, you know, yeah, people want to say, hey, look, it was the cold that messed you up. You know, you don't know how to play in cold weather, or teams above 500 you can't really beat. That's hearsay, right? It's all about execution. Yeah, some coaches can tense up in those situations, and some players can tense up as well. But, you know, it's all about the details and trying to figure out how you can execute that game in order to win it. And we were just unable to do it. But like you said, winning culture, it stems from being detailed. And that goes on both sides of the ball. And it also goes within the coaching staff. If you have a coaching staff that doesn't really believe in the system, why would the players want to believe in the system? You know, it's relative.
So you played with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Maxx Crosby and Brock Bowers and Tyreek Hill. I mean, you played.
The list is crazy.
Is there a player that you played with? And obviously, you're a 4-year starter in the Big Ten. You've had a very successful career. You had a 21 touchdown season. If I said to you, a professional athlete that you looked at and thought, as a confident player, thought, man, that guy's different. Is there one guy that stands out or two?
You know what? Out of all those guys on the list, and to be honest with you, I played this past season with them, and you know, I believed all the hype. I was listening to all the hype coming in. It would have to be Maxx Crosby. I mean, and he's a brother of mine. That's, you know,
I love Max. He's a regular. I love him.
He's a regular, straightforward dude. He's a straight shooter that, you know, really cares about the game, and he puts his heart in. When I tell you he puts his heart and soul into it, he really does. And he's a professional, super professional guy. He wants to just be the ultimate competitor and ultimately win. And he hasn't had that in some odd years, and it's frustrating to see that. You know, at the beginning of the year, I told him, hey, look, man, we're gonna do this thing. Like, I want to help you win. Like, I want to win for you. Like, it's not about the game itself. I just want to do it for you because I know what you've been through in your career, and you deserve it just because of the attitude that you display, the confidence that you have, and the tenacity to go out there each and every day and put on either in practice or in the game. Now he's played however many snaps, you know, in the past several seasons. Dude does not come off the field, and you got to respect a guy like that. You know, he can go out there with a broken knee and a torn ACL or whatever, and still put his body out there on the line. Like, you know, there's no tomorrow. So just a guy like him and his caliber, you know, like you said, I don't play with, you know, Fred Warner. Fred is awesome. Fred is a true competitor as well, and he wants to win. But when I tell you about this guy named Maxx Crosby is the ultimate competitor, man, and he wants to win, and I love it, man. He boosts everybody up around him.
Well, Raheem Mostert, I'm telling you, if I was a general manager watching the last 12 minutes, I would want you on my team.
I appreciate that.
Led the NFL with 18 rushing touchdowns, 21 total for the Dolphins in 2023. And, I mean, San Francisco, is there a team that you'd like to call you? If I said, hey, this one team is kind of interested, is there one?
Honestly, I would love. There's two. I would love to go to Miami. I know Halfley and you know, Slowick, the offensive coordinator. I know them very well. They were with me at the Niners. You know, I remember when Half he was the DB coach, and man, I had nothing but respect for him because he had his DBs playing good. You know, and the same thing with Slow. I know Slow. I was with his brother in Miami too. So I know that family is they're great people. And then obviously San Fran, you know, that's just like home to me. That's where I felt like my career pivoted and did a lot of great things, and I want to continue to do great things. And plus, who wouldn't want to have a Christian and Raheem, you know, duo back together? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I appreciate it, man. You hit it out of the park today, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, I appreciate you. Thanks again for having me. Hey, let's do this again, man. I love the show. I swear.
Oh, I love that. I love to hear it. NFL GMs, there's a running back that's interested in playing, and he gets into the end zone. Raheem, thank you so much.